Hello and welcome to Gettable, AFL.com.au's home of trade, draft, free agency and contract news. We are here thanks to Google. I'm Riley Beveridge. I'm in studio today. Cal, he joins us on the line. He is on the Gold Coast at the AFL's National Under-16s Championships. Cal, how you going up there?
Good, Riley. Love the Gold Coast, my second home. So good to be back. Let's talk, though. There's lots happening.
There is certainly lots happening. And we're going to start with Inside Word. Let's hear the whispers. There we go. The whispers coming. This is where we deliver some of the inside word on the biggest trade and contract stories around the competition. Cal, we want to start with the Lions because they've got big plans.
They do have big plans. So let's get to the cover story because they are our cover story for this week. More, please. How do they capitalise on this list and grab some more guns to get more flags while Chris Fagan is still at the helm? Some other big news coming up later as well. The big money race for Naz gets even hotter. And where will the bids come for Gold Coast's gun pair? We, of course, are speaking to Dylan Patterson and Zeke Ulan later in the show, as well as Cal Burns, the Gold Coast recruiting manager. But for the Lions first, the first part of this is that the Lions will have Jasper Fletcher on the journey for a little while longer as part of this. So the emerging star of the competition is close to a new 4-year extension that will take him through to the end of 2030. So when he hits free agency, so he will join the 2030 club and he's a gun. I think he's probably a future captain of that footy club. So that deal is very close to being locked away. So I tick that one off. The next part is that Brisbane is on a mission to win as many cups under Chris Fagan as possible. So he has 2 years to run on this contract at the Lions, and they're living in the moment. There's no doubt about that. And you can do that when you have the Ashcrofts coming through, Fletcher, more academy guns this year and next. There's not a club out there that doesn't think Oscar Allen is going to Brisbane as a free agent. So that's part one. The Lions are also clearly in this ruck decision where they're going strongly after Sam Draper and also Riley O'Brien. So it's a dual-pronged attack that they're going for there, hoping that one of them can get to the footy club. The concern about Oscar McInerney's body and durability is significant and real, so they're going hard after both of these ruckmen. And Draper, for me, is the big trade domino of the whole period because whatever he decides to do is going to have a huge ruck ripple effect. On top of that, they don't want to lose their players, the Lions. They're trying hard to retain Brandon Starcevic, so multiple different deals in front of him. This is some delicate salary cap manoeuvring going on, but they are absolutely all in.
And they're about to welcome Dan Annable to the football club as well, who's a highly rated draft prospect in this year's draft under their academy system. What about the Crows? They're about to make a captain's call.
They are. Well, the captain's call, yeah, and what a good one it's going to be for them because the Crows are also very busy in the trade and free agency market, as we know. But we can say today that Jordan Dawson, their great skipper, is on the verge of a new long-term extension at the footy club as well. So he's already contracted for next year, but the new deal will take him through to the end of 2029. So the finishing touches, on my understanding, has been put on that deal. So that'll take him through to the time he's 32 and at the end of his 8th year of the Crows. What an amazing recruit he's been for them and so much more good contract news for the Crows after the recent re-signing of Dan Curtin as well. So the Crows we know are also a part of that Draper waiting game and have their O'Brien factor within that. Draper for me is just such a fascinating case. Like 2 clubs who are in the window want him. We spoke about the Lions and also the Crows. And he's been a pretty loyal guy across his time at the Bombers too. I think has wanted to stay, but has been caught in that emotional tug of war about what to do, and he's definitely wrestling with it. So Essendon has upped its deal to try and keep him. I still think my views on this one. The compensation pick has to be part of this decision-making for that footy club as well.
Yeah, it certainly does. And it's going to be a fascinating decision to see what Sam Draper does, whether or not he stays at Essendon. He's got the lure of home in Adelaide and a contender potentially in the Crows, and then someone who might be more in the window in the Lions as well. So that's going to be a really interesting free agency decision to watch across the next 8 weeks or so. There's a giant decision looming, Cal, isn't there?
There is. Xavier O'Halloran has got an upped offer of 3 years to stay at the footy club. What does he do, Riley?
I reckon he stays now. I think the fact that the Giants have upped it to 3 years will match the offer that the Western Bulldogs put to him last year. So the Doggies had a 4-year deal on the table for Xavier O'Halloran last year, which would have taken him through to 2028. I think he wanted to replicate that at the Giants and he was comfortable staying there. So that 3-year deal, as you mentioned, would take him through to 2028. So it matches what the Doggies have put forward last year. I think he stays now. I mean, he's such an integral part of that side. He's really worked his way into the team under Adam Kingsley, and he had a career best game a couple of weeks ago playing through the midfield. So yeah, my view now is that he stays at the Giants.
And they don't want to lose too much depth, do they? We saw that happen last year. They probably will lose. Leckerly, you'd think he's on the move. Wade Dirksen, you'd think he's on the move. A couple of other players are being targeted as well. So I don't think you want to be moving out too much depth.
Yeah, completely agree, especially given what they lost last year. Another loss for Carlton last Thursday night, Cal. Who's got the Blues?
I think this might be the biggest watch at the end of the season. Not who's got the Blues now, but who will have the Blues and where these Blues might end up. Look, I think there's so many decisions to make at Carlton. Interested in your view on this one as well. I know you've been strong on the fact you don't trade these guys, the Curnow, Walsh, Harry Mackay types, because you're just going to the draft to find the next one. But would they be open to any trade for Charlie Curnow and Sam Walsh? I don't think they would be at this stage, but I still think they're two players clubs are going to pursue and are pursuing. Harry Mackay, for me, is definitely gettable in my view, from an openness to have that discussion point of view at the Blues. And Curnow will be watching with interest as well if anything comes in and is really strongly put to them what they do on that front. But certainly a case of watch this space on Carlton as a whole and what they do at the trade space.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that for those types of players, the calibre of players that you mentioned there, you have to get something back through the door that is going to make you better and make you better soon, not in 5, 6, 7 years' time. And I just don't know for those three that you mentioned what you get back straight away that could potentially keep you challenging in the years to come. It's a really hard one for Carlton to navigate because they do need to find better ways to get better, but they are restricted in how much they can move into the football club given the cap issues they've had over the last couple of years. Tom de Koning goes at the end of the year, we think, to St Kilda. Will that free up some room for them? Yeah, they're going to be a really fascinating watch now, aren't they?
They will be.
All right, the race for Naz. It's going to heat up. He has been so fantastic, particularly all season, but the last couple of weeks since he's gone to the midfield, he's added another string to his bow. Who do you reckon's in the lead, Kel?
Well, that's the question, is it? To start with, nobody knows what Naz is doing. He should be in Vegas playing poker because he does not have a tell. He's given nothing away to anybody. So it's been one of the great sources of interest, hasn't it, what he's going to do, but he's giving nothing away to anyone. We spoke last week about how Port and Adelaide have that huge offers on the table, more money on the table than I think what the St Kilda one has been, around that 1.2 level. So I also think that both clubs have front-ended their offers too. So it could even be to the level of that $2 million mark for multiple seasons at the start of these offers. So I think, there's a chance that if he did move, he'd be that $2 million player, at least for the start of that deal. Of course, that wouldn't be across the whole journey of the deal. But I think given that front-ended nature of the rival offers, that's a real carrot and potential game changer. So that continues to be a day-by-day decision for him. But he's in absolutely no rush. The longer this goes, we tend to know how this plays out, but there still has been confidence that he'd do a 2-year extension at the Saints. But I don't think it's going to be a longer-term option at the Saints, whereas if you front-end the deals like Adelaide and Port Adelaide have, then that can give a huge bonus to do that up front.
So potentially $2 million early in that deal. I think it's a great credit to him as well. You mentioned he doesn't have a towel, but how many players do you see enter a huge contract year where all the pressure, all the scrutiny is on them and they go to water a bit? I mean, he's been fantastic right the way through, which I think says a lot about his maturity as a player.
Yeah, it does. And he's become an idol for players too. You'll hear our chat with Dylan Patterson shortly, but fair to say that Dylan Patterson as a player is looking up to one man and one man only at the moment in how he's playing, and it's Wanganeen-Milera. So if Gold Coast can get there, Dylan Patterson, then they're Wanganeen-Milera for the cost of a draft pick. You know how much these weapons are.
All right, you are, of course, up on the Gold Coast for the Under-16s Championships, the annual Under-16s Championships up there. Who's caught your eye and who's caught the eye of recruiters, Kel?
Well, they're pumped. Recruiters are excited. They're 2 years out. The grass is always greener down the track. And look, the clubs haven't been overly rapt at how this year's draft has developed in terms of depth and star quality. But certainly the feel in these first couple of years, first couple of games over the last couple of weeks and even this week has been that the 2027 crop is looking very promising. I want to do a little bit more vision on a guy called Axel Walsh, who we spoke about a couple of weeks ago as potentially being the first player Tasmania draft. He was outstanding yesterday. 20 disposals, 25 hit-outs, 5 clearances. He's huge, but he's also hugely athletic. He takes marks. He plays as a forward. He's marking the ball at half-back as well. He's a very, very exciting prospect. So he will be right in Tasmania's sights. There's a few other players that I think really took the eye across the last couple of days. There's a guy called Zemez Pilot. We're going to have some fun with his name, I think. He was excellent for South Australia. He's ready for takeoff in the next couple of years. Max Thompson was very good for Vic Country, small forward. Baxter Struck, really liked his game. He had 22 disposals and a goal for Vic Metro. Interestingly, though, obviously the Tasmanian contingent is there. This is the Tasmania draft, of course. Alistair Lynch was there watching on. Obviously, strong part of the Tasmania Devils franchise, as was Dean Solomon, the Essendon footy director on the board there. Maybe having a bit of a glance at Kobe Buick's game yesterday as well, and he was quite good in flashes too. So lots of good talent on display, and hopefully a little bit more later in the week.
It is very interesting. A lot of interested onlookers up there in Tassie. Of course, Tassie hosted a draft event for the parents of those under-16s players on Tuesday night as well. Just a bit of a Q&A in terms of what they could expect, knowing that a lot of those 2027 draft crop will be heading to Tasmania. They're set to have 7 of the first 13 picks. Now, Cal, before we move on, Google Gemini is your personal AI assistant, and it's been great for having conversations and bouncing ideas back and forth. Pre-show, I put forward a quick draft debate. Let's see how it went. Hi, Google Gemini. Debate with me on who is the best AFL draft pick of all time. I think it's Chris Judd. What do you think?
Chris Judd is definitely a strong contender, but how about Gary Ablett Jr.? He's considered one of the most skilled midfielders ever, and his record is pretty impressive. What do you think?
I just think Chris Judd's leadership across 2 different clubs really stands out.
That's a great point. His leadership at both West Coast and Carlton was definitely exceptional. Do you think that makes him a better pick than someone who might have had more individual awards but less of a leadership role?
I certainly do. What other points would you make for your selection?
Well, looking at individual achievements, Gary Ablett Jr. won the Lee Matthews Trophy 5 times, which is a record. Plus, he's a dual Brownlow medalist. Those are some pretty strong arguments in his favour.
I agree. Thanks, Google Gemini.
No worries. It's been fun debating with you.
Big thanks to Google for jumping on board in season 2025. All right, Cal, as you mentioned, you're up there on the Gold Coast. You've done a couple of interviews for us. We want to start. You had a quick chat yesterday to Cal Burns, a man with plenty on his plate. It's Gold Coast's National Recruiting Manager.
Thanks for joining us again on Gettable, Callie. I think you're a 3rd or 4th time guest, so we appreciate you coming on as always. We're here for the Gold Coast Under-16 Carnival. Yesterday was a big defeat to the Suns. What did you tell us about the Under-16 Championships and how they've gone so far, and what it says about the Suns Academy too?
Yeah, well, firstly, thanks for having me and welcome to the sunny Gold Coast in
Always.
July. Look, our football club's highly competitive and we want success in all facets of our footy club. So yesterday's result gave us some feedback and we'll go to work to improve some areas of that. But I mean, all in all, the academy's there for real participation aspect as well as the performance outcome.
What's it looking like over the next couple of years? We'll get to this year's academy group, but have you got a side of what the 16s, 17s group is looking like from a Gold Coast point of view?
Yeah, there's talent there, no doubt. But as I touched on, a really important key pillar of our football club is the academy and the northern markets in general. I think we can get seduced and especially in these forums, always talk about the talent outcomes. But just as importantly for our football club, and certainly I assume those other northern markets as well, is getting participation in and connecting people to our club in a non-traditional market. And I think that gets forgotten about a lot. So it's important, certainly for us, to continually engage boys and girls and their families into the academy, and then that creates a connection to our football club.
The Allies finished their Under-18 Championships on Sunday with a defeat to Vic Metro. What have you made of the Under-18 Carnival this year, and what do you view the draft pool of 2025 as?
Yeah, look, the draft pool this year is still figuring itself out. We're only in July, so there still is a long way to go and there's still opportunity for players to increase their stock. So we'll continue to monitor it. It looks like it might have a little less depth than previous years.
What's the sort of board look like from your perspective at July versus November generally? Is there much movement? We think about Bailey Humphrey. You know, he only saw a little bit of footy in that sort of first year a couple of seasons ago. He ended up such an early pick for you guys. Does it change much from now to draft time?
It can, and it's a great question because it's something that we need to continually remind ourselves of, that we are only in July. People develop at different rates. They've all had different stories through pre-season or maybe some niggles earlier in the year, and some are just getting going. So that's why we've got to keep turning up to the footy.
What about Ezekiel and Dylan Patterson, two highly regarded academy players from the Suns Academy this year? Different years though, because Zeke hasn't played yet. And Dylan's gone bananas on a lot of occasions and played some great footy for the Allies and also through the Suns Academy. We're speaking to both of them coming up on the show as well. Their seasons?
Yeah, well, both should be incredibly proud of themselves. Acquitted themselves well, as you said, in different scenarios. So Zeke with his rehabilitation, his dedication and diligence to that, and Dylan with his performances on game day been sensational, along with several other members of our academy this year.
What about where the bids are coming? Have you got a view? Have you got a sense yet from where they could come for Zeke and Dylan?
I understand the question, and there's going to be a lot of interest around it clearly in the back end of the year, but we're not the market. The market are the other clubs and where they see all of our players falling and where the bids may come, and we'll have to stay agile and have strategies for all types of scenarios.
You've got a few more other players as well as part of the academy. Bo Adamsall we've seen for the Allies and also the Suns. Kobe Coulson's played some great footy across this year. Kalani White's eligible for the Suns and also the Demons. Do you know how many you'd like to take overall at the moment?
Yeah, in a perfect world, we'd like to take them all. Yeah. But we understand that the rules have changed this year, and that's made it significantly harder to match bids. So we're working through some strategies at the moment. We're projecting where things may happen. We're starting to run simulations on the draft. And look, given the rule changes this year, it's going to be really challenging.
Do you think that? Is it making it a lot harder?
Yeah, of course it is, because there's been a lot of levers changed at once. And there's a real squeeze on. There's more access for NGA clubs to access their players. Northern Academy market shifted slightly. The DVI points have come down, and there's less points now with picks attached. So you've pulled a lot of levers. It creates a bit of a squeeze, and we're going to see that come draft night.
Have you got a sense on which way Kalani is leaning in his decision?
No, not yet. And as we've spoken about a few times already, there's still a long way to go this year.
3 first-round picks does help in terms of trying to match the bids. You've got a couple that are tied to other clubs, of course. I'm sure you're barracking for the losses of a couple of those clubs across this year, as well as your own pick. Do you still put the first pick up for grabs on the trade table, as you've done in previous years? Yeah,
well, you've made a point that we did identify this group as a particularly special group with a fair bit of depth to it. So we always wanted to push draft picks into this year, and we're able to achieve that through a few different mechanisms to have the 3 first rounders this year. We will continue to monitor where those picks may come and also what we might have to do to trade. But as I said earlier, look, it's going to be really challenging. That it's a smaller market with more people active in that market. It's going to make it really challenging to try and manoeuvre those picks.
Have you had a few calls about the Port Adelaide pick in particular?
No, not yet. I mean, we'll stay open to those, but it's probably a little bit too early for that.
Expect any other change as a footy club around the academy system this year? Of course, the CEOs met a couple of weeks ago. The discussion around the discount was raised again, the 10% discount. Are you guys as a footy club expecting that to stay as is for this year?
We would think so. Look, it's not our decision. It's obviously the AFL and the Commission are looking at all those things. What I sort of spoke about before is there's been a lot of change to the rules already this year, and I think it would be nice just to see that settle and see how it plays out for at least one season, and then maybe revisit it later.
The Northern Academies have again been a discussion point throughout this season, different clubs with different views. What's your view personally around where this actually fits in terms of the importance of the Northern Academies versus some of the discussion from other clubs, including St Kilda, around abolishing of some of the access that you guys get?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier, that it's not my view personally, it's our view as a football club, that the academy has a lot of important facets to it. And as I said, in these forums, we can get seduced by the talent outcome. It's really important to remember why the academies were set up. They were set up to attract people to our game in non-traditional markets for boys and girls. And on the back of that, the families that come and watch and pull on the colours and then turn up to game day because they become emotionally invested in your football club.
We've seen such a great impact from John Noble and Dan Rioli in the team at the moment, as we hope to see a finals appearance later this season. But destination status as a footy club changed, I think, in last year's trade period. You're able to grab players out of 2 big Victorian clubs and get them across the line. Do you expect that to happen again in coming seasons? And have you got your eyes into many players on the trade table this year? Or is that a challenge again because of the academy situation and what you're going to have to do there?
Yeah, good question. I mean, we're constantly monitoring it. And it wasn't just the first year we'd done. I mean, obviously really pleased to get both Daniel and John across the line last year. I think going right back to COVID, the competition moved here.
Yep.
People were able to see what our lifestyle was like. Their families were able to come up here and live it. That's where about a significant change. And then also Damien coming, having a really successful coach come to our football club, bring his people with him, and create such an incredible culture. I think people are seeing that from the outside. And we took real responsibility in ensuring that once Daniel and John the ball was rolling there, it was our responsibility to get those 2 over the line and make sure that players wanted to come to our football club, that we could get that done. And the second layer to that is them then having success in our system. So I think that could breed a little bit of positivity and confidence in our football club if players want to come.
Attraction's one thing, retention's another. And retaining Matt Rowell a few weeks ago for another 2 years must have been a huge fillip for the whole club.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we talk about our list reset back at the end of 2017. Matt was clearly a key pillar of that, getting him number one through the draft. So, look, we're not naive enough to think that players aren't going to have a look around. They're going to look around and we probably expect the same in return. We want players to look at us as a football club. So that's part of the industry. And I think the most pleasing part of that was Matt looked around and still landed on the decision that, no, Gold Coast is the place for me. It's where I want to play my football because I love the lifestyle, I love my teammates, and I think we're going to have some success. So almost a better outcome that he did look and wanted to stay.
There'll be two big signatures that you can get ahead of 2026, of course. Ben King hits free agency next year. Jed Walter hasn't yet signed on beyond that initial 3-year deal. Have talks begun, or what sort of progress do you expect to take with those two big key forwards?
Yeah, those two are left with our list management team, Craig Cameron, and the rest of the list management subcommittee, and I'm sure they're working through those.
You can give us a little bit. They're close. 5-6 years, whatever you want to say.
We'll leave it at that, Cal.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Good luck in matching those bids in November.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
All right, that was Cal Burns, Gold Coast's recruiting manager, a man with plenty on his plate as he tries to weigh up how the Suns can bring in some talented academy prospects. Two of those academy prospects, two of my favourites in this year's draft, have been Dylan Patterson, the Rocket, and Zeke Euland. Cal caught up with them as well earlier this week.
Here with Zeke and Dill. Thanks for joining us on Gettable, guys.
Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you both with us. It's been interesting years for both of you in different ways. How have you found 2025? We'll start with you first, Dill.
I think it's been a good learning year, like the way that we've been able to change as a team from last year. I think, especially in the academy, the way we've been able to bring all our underage boys last year and bring them up and develop them all. It's been really good, and then throughout the Allies and then AFL Academy, I think, it's just been unreal experience.
What about yourself, Zeke? A very different year for you, given you haven't played as yet, but a return is on the horizon. Tell us about your season.
Yeah, certainly. It's been a difficult year, but yeah, I've had an injury setback with stress fractures in my back, which has certainly had its challenges, but I've taken it in a positive manner, seeking work experience, studying full-time uni, and being involved as much as I can around the football club, which is taking my mind off the negative of being out on the sidelines.
And what can you tell us? Are we going to see you soon?
I hope so. I've been medically cleared to play, so just pending selection, I should be playing in the coming weeks.
What about the back injuries? Because it started off at the start of the season. We'll see how long it goes. Probably a month, 6 weeks, become a little bit longer than that. That must have been a frustration to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. Having no timeline set in stones definitely has its challenges, but yeah, just having a focus on the next block of your rehab holds you in good stead to be in a good position to return to play at some point soon.
Dill, the Allies have just finished up their carnival. You're a big part of that as well. How did you feel you went as an individual, as part of a strong team?
I think we went well for a team that had never played too much together, especially coming against teams that are growing up together, playing against each other, knows each other. I think the connection we all built was really good and strong towards the end, and obviously the outcomes weren't always in our favour, but I think just the footy we've been able to play, and personally from my experience, I think the growth that I was able to take to be able to play out of positions as well, and then play in position and try to strive through that. I think I think it's just been only beneficial. So yeah.
I think you're probably the most exciting player we saw throughout the carnival, and Zeke, you might agree from the sidelines as well.
The Rocket.
The Rocket, exactly. Do you like the Rocket?
I don't know.
Be honest.
It wouldn't have been my first choice, but
we'll make it work.
Yeah.
It's a compliment. Tell us about the speed. Where does it come from? Has it always been a part of your game to be able to burst like you do?
I think obviously I came from a different background growing up. I played rugby league, a lot of athletic stuff like that. So I think obviously that has an effect, and sort of a lot of it's genetic, I guess, as well. So I think I really brought it into my game as a real major factor in how I'm gonna play my footy, especially over the last few years. That's sort of been my biggest thing, and I think playing off that halfback and even throughout the midfield, I think I'm able to use it and showcase it a lot more. So obviously, it might get seen a lot more by people.
Do you just get the ball and think no one's catching me?
Sometimes. Yeah. No, I try to be smart with how I do it, but I like playing off instinct a lot. So I think with the speed and using instinct, I think two match up pretty well. So yeah.
Zeke, you had such a great year last year as a bottom major. You made the All-Australian team and got so many runs on the board. How much help did that give you when you're going through this year's challenges to know that you had already shown recruiters what you can do?
Yeah, I think having the opportunity to play as a bottom major, gave me a really good position this year and a bit of freedom and security, I guess. But yeah, nothing set in stone. So I'm still looking forward to getting back out on the track and hopefully putting my best foot forward to prove myself worthy of getting drafted.
What influence has Bodie been on your career? And also going through the back injury too, which he had when he first got to the footy club.
Yeah, certainly. He's been a major influence. Certainly someone that I look up to as an inspiration. Going through a similar injury and then off the back of that, coming runner-up in best and fairest and winning most professionals. So he can, set a really good example for me, and I just try to follow his footsteps in habits and just actions that I follow throughout my daily life.
So you're both obviously a part of the Suns Academy. We see you in the polos here. The Suns have first rights on you. Have they given you much of an indication on their interest off you at the end of the year?
For me, I haven't had any conversations hoping to see something come through, but just trying to play footy at the end of the day, and yeah.
Yeah, second to that, I haven't heard anything. We got a really talented group of boys coming through. We've got about 7 or 8 really talented boys. So it'll be interesting to see where the bids come. But yeah, as Dill said, we're just really looking forward to playing some good footy towards the back end of the year.
Are you competitive with other draftees and even each other about how high you can go in the draft, and do you set ambitions for that? Is that something you really aim for, to go as early as possible?
I think everyone wants to go as early as possible at the end of the day, but realistically, no matter if you go first or in the rookie draft, I guess you're still at the same spot as everyone at the start of the year after. So I think just get into that point is obviously the main goal, and then I guess obviously you want to be as high as possible. But
second to that, I think as a group we're not really too worried about where we go in the draft. I think we're all just striving to be better, and I think we really drive each other to be better footballers and people at the end of the day. So that's really good about it.
Who's the AFL players you look at? A couple of names each year.
I think Nazire, I think self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I think I just like watching players obviously Noah Anderson at the Suns, because when you're around them that much, especially with the academy programs, we get to spend a lot of time with them and watch them how they go about it. And I think when you see it come off on the field on the weekend, you just watch players like that and just think how's it done that?
Yeah, I think for me, Errol Goulden's one that I look up to. If I could be half the player that he is, I think I'd be in a pretty good spot. So definitely someone I aspire to play like.
And you mentioned earlier you've been keeping busy this year, studying law and commerce, also working at a law firm too. How's that helped the mind tick over? Yeah,
definitely. It's been something really good that I can turn to. It doesn't mean that I ride the ebbs and flows of how footy's going in my life. It sets me up for something really positive post-footy, however that turns out.
Now, footy fans out there might have actually seen a little bit off you, not just your footy vision, but maybe on Roaming Brian. What was happening there? Can you give us a bit of an insight? It was in Darwin after a game.
Yeah.
Did you catch the cameras, or how aware of the cameras were you?
Yeah, I was really eager to get on Roaming Brian. It's been something I've watched for years, and didn't quite get the chocolates from Big BT, but I was waiting there for my moment, just didn't come.
You took your chance, and both of you have across the last couple of years, so thanks for joining us, for coming on Gettable. Of course, you don't leave empty-handed, so this one is for you, Zeke.
Thank you very much.
This one's for you, Dylan. I want to just hold these up to the camera there. You're now officially Gettable.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
The main one through there. That one camera there. I know there's multiple cameras. It's good, isn't it? Hey, we'll get you on the show later in the year in the studio as well when you're in Melbourne. So good luck and thanks for the chat.
Thanks for having
us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
A big thanks to Dylan Patterson and Zeke O'Halloran. Thank you also to Cal Burns for his work earlier in the show. Thank you to Cal Twomey up on the Gold Coast. We will be back with plenty more on afl.com.au across the course of the week. Don't forget Inside Trading later on Wednesday afternoon, and then back in the studio next week on Gettable.